I had anticipated later this week that I'd have hockey jersey Christmas again. According to the estimates for delivery on eBay and via Canada Post, USPS, um, it looked like they were all coming in the same day. However, my New York Islanders jersey is scheduled to be here tomorrow. So as of tomorrow, the only team I will not have a jersey for is the Minnesota Wild. So then the question becomes, which Minnesota Wild jersey do I want? It's an interesting question. First off, I hate the Minnesota Wild. I have hated the Minnesota Wild their entire existence. And it's a bizarre hatred since I love the Minnesota North Stars so much, and they play in the same city, so I shouldn't hate them as much as I do. Um, I love the look of their jersey. I love their logo. Um, I hate the team. Therefore, um, it's a matter of finding a jersey that I find least abhorrent to wear out in public. The Winter Classic from last year is the one that I would prefer. I think it was the sharpest jersey that they've worn. I know it may not be popular to have that bear head, cougar head, whatever head they have on it, um, on a green background because it's green. It's green and red. Green and red on its own is apparently a mistake. My Dallas jersey everybody hates. Their primary colors are green and red. And I've been told that's what people don't like. And yet I look at the Minnesota Christmas jersey and I go, there's a lot of red on there. And then there's a little green in the middle. The jerseys I like the most are the green ones. And the Winter Classic was nice because of the green and then the cream colored shoulders. A very sharp, very clean looking jersey, considering it has a very busy logo. In terms of logos, I love the Wild logo, but it is busy. There's a lot going on there. And it's got that star in there because you have to have that North Star in there. Even though everybody has the North Star, we have the North Star here. I never thought I should call a team the North Stars, but you know, I'm not an NHL owner by any means, so it's probably not my business. But yeah, so Minnesota will be the only one. The Islanders jersey that I've got coming, I have two Islanders jerseys coming, which is the funny thing. Um, that I got both of them for really good deal. One off eBay used, but looks fantastic. And the one that I'm getting through Lids, which is brand new, but it's terrible. The other thing I realized today is that I like to have the sharpest jerseys from teams, but I also like to have the horrendous, the one that nobody wants, one that everybody says, "Why the hell would you buy that?" There's no in between for me, really. I want the jersey that I think is the sharpest, and I want the jersey that I think is the ugliest. And it's quite the contrast with Buffalo. I don't have the nicest jersey of Buffalo's. The nicest jersey of Buffalo's would probably be the one they had in the 80s. I know some people like the black with the silver buffalo on the front. That's a nice one too, but the one from the 80s, the classic, is fantastic. Amazing jersey. Um, I don't have the Buffa Slug either. I know always look for the Buffa Slug. I always look for a deal on the Buffa Slug because it's really horrendously ugly. And it would be awesome to have something that ugly again to go with all of my other ugliness jerseys. Like, for instance, while we're at it, there's some ugly in this. There's some ugly if you can find it. I think it's a work of beauty. I love the shirt very much, but it is what it is. Um, anyways, I'm gonna work on a video later on today, and I'm debating about starting actual season previews. So I did the opening night rosters. I did here's who I think is gonna make the team. Here's who I think is gonna get a 9-game tryout, and those videos actually got a lot of views. They brought in a lot of interest, and they upped subscriber counts and everything else, all that other wonderful stuff that enables me to provide content for you guys and look at my future and say, wow, there's a future. There's a future in this. Funny side story, I was talking to a guy at work today, he's got apparently over 1,000 subscribers to a YouTube channel. He just does silly shit with friends of his and tapes it. It's one of those things, where it's like, are they really? Oh wow, he face planted, that kind of thing. And I said, well, I've got 950 subscribers. He goes, I got over 1,000. And I mentioned, I was actually making money in this. He goes, I never monetized any of my videos. I'm like, maybe you should, because he was like, oh, I've had tons of views, and I'm like, why not throw a commercial in there? Like, and you can tell he hadn't really thought of it. Um, it's like, yeah, you can. It's not iTube, it's YouTube. It's for everybody. Theoretically, it's for everybody, and it's a great format for anybody to get their voice out there, and that's what I'm doing. So part of getting to that next level, I think, will be actually doing season previews. And the way I'm going to look at it is this: they win if, they lose if. Because absolutes are stupid. For me to say, okay, the Stanley Cup winners can be Anaheim. Well, I can make that prediction. It'd be wrong because Kessler's not winning anything. But in terms of predictions, I want to look at teams and say, okay, here's where I predict they're going to finish. Anaheim will be first, Canucks will be last, and everybody else will be in the middle. But and that's just in the division. But here's where they win if, here's where they lose if, and that kind of thing. So the other thing I'm waiting for is I've got magazines I'm waiting for to come out on the newsstands. I'm waiting. There's a sports forecaster I get every year. There's a hockey news I get every year. There's the official NHL guide and record, or not the guide record book, not this big beast here, but the official NHL yearbook, which doesn't really get into predictions because it's produced by the NHL, so they want to seem as objective as possible. They're not as objective now as they used to be, and they don't provide the same amount of information as they used to. Now they're all like charts and pie graphs and shit. And it's like, why is there all this Corsi shit in here? I don't care. And it's just generally for the team. I think part of where hockey magazines are failing is that they're going, Team Corsi was, and it's like, the stat heads really get into the individual guys. The team is fine. But if you guys are going to report on this, get more into the individuals and don't just do pie graphs and charts. This isn't, what was the name of, it was before Office. I'm really dating myself here. But yeah, this isn't Windows Office. Like, you don't need to make all kinds of pie charts and do it like a presentation. I honestly can't stand the amount of empty space that they fill with charts and graphs and shit in the NHL magazines now. And it's just to pad out the page count and have less text because nobody reads anymore, I guess. I could do that, I guess. I could at some point compare an old NHL yearbook and a current NHL yearbook. And I'm talking about the ones provided by the NHL because in terms of the hockey news, sporting news, any of them, their yearbooks are pretty much the same as what they were. If anything, they're probably more in depth now. The NHL one has become just this vacuous, pretty much a throwaway book. And it's too bad because it's made by the actual, well, it's endorsed by the NHL. So they put their stamp on it as this is our official magazine. Anyways, that's it for me for now. I will be back later. And the hockey poll thing, I'm just going to let it stop for now. It's giving me a headache. Because I've explained it. And nobody's going to pick the same guys. All right. I'm going to do this. All right. I'm going to do this because the idea that somebody's going to grab, that multiple people are just going to have the exact same team. How many people do you think are going to sign up for this, first off? Secondly, no, they won't. And they won't for a very simple reason. If you name just 12, the 12 best forwards, the 12 forwards that you think are going to be the top scorers in the NHL this year, and you compare that list to somebody else's, yeah, there's going to be some crossover. Not all 12. Nobody's going to pick. And if they pick the same 12, they're not going to pick the same 6 defensemen, too, and the same 2 goalies. It's not going to happen. Leading scorers, I'm going to go back to all the way back to 2011, from 2014, 2015. Actually, I've got a computer open, so let's do this. do. Sporting charts. Never been to that website before. But it was the #1 Google result, so that's what you click on. You click on the #1 Google result. Okay, the top 10 scorers in the NHL this past season were Patrick Kane, Jamie Benn, Sidney Crosby, Joe Thornton. Sorry, an ad loads. Erik Karlsson, Blake Wheeler, Joe Pavelski, Johnny Gaudreau, Artemi Panarin, and Evgeny Kuznetsov. So there's your top 10. The season before that, Jamie Benn, John Tavares, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, Jakub Voracek, Nicholas Backstrom, Tyler Seguin, Yuri Hudler, Dan Sedin, and Vlad Tarasenko. The year before that, Sidney Crosby, Ryan Getzlaf, Claude Giroux, Tyler Seguin, Corey Perry, Phil Kessel, Taylor Hall, Alex Ovechkin, Joe Pavelski, Jamie Benn, Nick Backstrom. The year before that, Marty St. Louis, Steven Stamkos, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, Eric Stahl, Chris Kunitz, Phil Kessel, Taylor Hall, Ryan Getzlaf. The year prior to that, so we're back to 11-12 here. Evgeny Malkin, Steven Stamkos, Claude Giroux, Jason Spezza, Ilya Kovalchuk, Phil Kessel, James Neal, John Tavares, Henrik Sedin, Patrick Elias, and the 10-11 season, Daniel Sedin, Marty St. Louis, Corey Perry, Henrik Sedin, Steven Stamkos, Jerome Iginla, Alex Ovechkin, Teemu Selanne, Henrik Zetterberg, and Brad Richards. Yeah. The same 10, not once. Not once. And it's not going to happen this year either. So if a person just goes, well, I'm going to pick the top 12 forwards from last year, top 6 defensemen, and top 2 goalies, they will lose. They will lose. And you're not even factoring in rookies. You could put rookies in your regular lineup. If you think a rookie is if you think Austin Matthews is that good, and he's gonna be one of the 12 best scoring forwards in the NHL this year, go for it. And then you still have your other 3 rookie spots. So yeah, but like I said, I'm just gonna leave it for now because I just propose this as just, hey, it's this little fun little thing just here. It's gonna be simple. And then there's a bunch of opinions, and it's like, okay, guys, I just want it simple, and just trades once a month, and you can all have the same players if you want, but you're not going to. So, and the winner will be somebody who picks somebody off the map, is my guess. Somebody who goes, hey, this guy's due to have a fantastic season. Let's just say a Detroit fan goes, hey, Gustav Nyquist is going to have a great season. And then Nyquist comes out of nowhere, scores 85 points, and that's it. I have to say, in terms of news today, CNN has a problem. That Donald Trump is big news. He's the head all the time. And then behind that, almost forgotten, is North Korea issues nuclear threat. Okay. Importance is important. And what the guy with a dead dog on his head says is not as important as what the other guy with hair that looks like a dead dog on his head says. Because Kim Jong-un is dangerous. And I gotta say, I don't scare easy, but the States is just over the mountains here. So when people talk about, it's funny because I always hear Canadians saying, about the election or anything else, they go, well, who cares? It's in the U.S. Yeah, who cares? It's just we're within visual range of what we're talking about here. Should probably care. Should probably care just maybe a little. You don't have to care a lot. It's not like you can vote, but follow it. Know what's going on. It's the only reason that I know hockey is I just follow it every single day. What's going on? What isn't going on? What isn't going on is Yuri Hudler signing a contract anywhere. But that'll be soon because he's either going to find an NHL team that he likes or he's going to go to Europe. He's not going to be sitting in October. I just can't see it. And if he does, then he'll retire. Because usually players who take time off in their 30s, they don't come back. Not to the NHL, anyways. So those are, especially if he's European, he's more likely to tell the NHL he retires and then go over and play in one of the German, Italian, wherever, whatever league. So, anyways, that's it for now. I will be back later, and I will start season previews soon. And they're going to be more in depth than anything I've done to this point because I wanted to save the in depth previews until A, closer to the season, obviously, and B, until we knew where everybody was going, who was going to make a difference, potentially make a difference to their team's fortunes. So, with Vesey signing in New York with the Rangers and Enroth signing in Toronto, that pretty much brings everything together. All the loose ends are kind of tied up. The guys who are still out there are out there, and I don't know if any of them are going to find a job in the NHL. If there was no salary cap, there'd be no problem, but there is a salary cap, so there's a problem. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll be back later.